Welcome to U.S. Defense Line Channel. Explosion sounds echoed in Russia. Panic is growing in Moscow. Flames rose in the skies of Belgorod. War now extends to Russian territory. Russian soldiers fighting on the Ukrainian fronts are being abandoned by their commanders. Ukraine neutralized more than 500 Russian soldiers with a single move. Operations on Ukraine's eastern front have become critical. HIMARS missiles were fired at critical Russian military points by Ukrainian troops on the Donetsk front. However, the impact of the war has extended beyond the territory of Ukraine. Explosion sounds reported in the Belgorod region of Russia. According to breaking news, it was reported that a military facility in the Gray-Voronovsky district in Belgorod was bombarded by Ukrainian troops. After successive explosions from the area, smoke rose in the sky. According to the statements, the tanks in the facility also caught fire. Moscow took action after these explosions. After the attacks, Russia announced that the measures and various bans on the region were increased and extended. At the same time, the intensity of the operations is increasing in the eastern regions. Ukrainian troops hit a critical point on the Luhansk front, one of the key areas in the east, and neutralized hundreds of Russian soldiers. It is known that various operations have been increased on the Svartov line at the front, especially in recent days. With these operations, the Ukrainian forces carried out a targeted attack on a Russian battalion in the region. As a result of this move towards the contact line near Makiivka, more than 500 Russian soldiers were neutralized. Russian military at the front conveyed the details of the incident. Russian soldier, the commander of this battalion, promised that the Russian soldiers in the region would participate in the territorial defense approximately 15 kilometers away from the front line. But the entire battalion in the area was taken to the contact line and received orders to consolidate the defensive line at the front. Moreover, according to the claims of this Russian soldier, Russian soldiers were expected to be thrown into the forest and take cover. However, as it can be seen, they did not have enough equipment and support. For this reason, hundreds of Russian soldiers who were vulnerable to attacks by the Ukrainian forces with mortars, artillery, helicopters, and various missiles were neutralized. In addition, one of the most striking events on this issue is the allegations about the escape of the commanders. According to the statements, the Russian commanders abandon the soldiers fighting at the front, especially in difficult times, and flee. Russian troops, on the other hand, do not know what to do on these fronts where the violence of the war has increased. These soldiers, who have a very inadequate training, suffer serious losses. This proves Russia's serious inadequacy and mistakes in military administration. Moreover, Russia cannot defend its positions even in its own country. Russia, which cannot adequately defend its soldiers and critical points both at the front and at home, may have to face major defeats at any moment. As it is known, after Russia's attacks on infrastructures increased, Ukrainian troops took action. War has begun to be felt on Russian soil in recent weeks. This caused a significant change in the course of the war. Moscow is starting to worry now and increasing its wrong decisions. Moreover, even the measures taken in his own country are not enough. If this situation continues in this way, Russia's losses may be too great to be compensated. In addition, these soldiers are becoming increasingly helpless due to the fact that they cannot provide enough support to their soldiers at the front and mislead them. At any moment, thousands of Russian soldiers could be surrounded by Ukrainian units. Moreover, the Russian troops in the region are having more difficulties unless they are directed by their commanders due to the lack of training. It is also seen that the Russian commanders misdirected the soldiers and sometimes left them completely alone. But this situation can now infuriate the Russian soldiers. After Ukraine provides the opportunity to surrender, these Russian troops will either find the solution to surrender or have to face losses. This situation further increases the tension in Moscow. Russian commanders had been blamed for major defeats before, and many were dismissed and replaced by other names. Thereupon, many officials left the Russian lands and left Moscow alone in the war. Russia may still not understand that with such situations, its mistakes are being criticized even in its own country, because mistakes still continue as a result of many wrong decisions on the fronts. Although the increase in attacks on infrastructures puts Russia in a worse situation, it does not put an end to these attacks. This causes Russia to deal with internal turmoil and impose sanctions from many countries. Thus, the country, which has started to go into a financial collapse, has difficulty in dealing with the problems on the front, and on top of that, it has to deal with the problems within the country. Moreover, it is caused by their own mistakes. As a result of all these developments, what happens is to the soldiers at the front. Declining motivation, Russian soldiers are having more and more difficulties in achieving success. Multiple explosions have also been reported in Donetsk, another key area on the Eastern Front. Ukrainian armed forces, especially in recent days, continues to increase the intensity of its operations on this front. This time, it has been reported that the Ukrainian troops on this front, using the American-made HIMARS multiple launch rocket systems, fired at least 6 times at the critical points of the Russian troops. According to the statements, these attacks were carried out on Russian military points in the Leninsky district on the Donetsk front. In addition, explosions sounded repeatedly from the area. According to estimates, many Russian military equipment in the region was also seriously damaged. Thanks to these HIMARS missile systems, Ukrainian troops have been able to gain an advantage and maintain their superiority in many regions since the beginning of the war. Russian troops, on the other hand, cannot find a solution for these missile systems. Due to the characteristics of these systems, they are very difficult to destroy. Moreover, since it is mostly used at night, Russian troops cannot prevent these attacks. This causes more critical points to take damage and reduce their resources. If Russia cannot find a solution to these systems, it will deal with bigger problems. It is known that Russia has begun to lose military equipment in all areas, especially in recent days. Russia, which is also quite inadequate in the military field, mostly prefers to carry out airstrikes. As it is known, Russia has been waiting in the Black Sea with ships loaded with caliber cruise missiles for a while. Fact that Russia kept these missile ships in the Black Sea caused tension. As of November 6, it was announced that the number of Russian ships in the Black Sea was 7. However, the important part is that there are no ships loaded with caliber cruise missiles among these ships. In late October, Russia was deploying 11 ships and boats in the Black Sea where 24 caliber cruise missiles were awaited. Russia's withdrawal of these ships from the Black Sea is a relief for Ukraine. The Ukrainian Navy also made important statements about Russian ships. It has been announced that the Russian forces have 10 Russian ships in the Mediterranean, which have the capacity to fire a total of 76 missiles, including 5 caliber cruise missile carriers. It is thought that Russia may be preparing for a possible attack with these moves. However, one of the most important reasons for this situation may be that the Ukrainian troops have made moves against the Russian military ships and naval bases deployed in the Black Sea, especially in recent days. We know that even a single missile is quite expensive. In particular, even one of the caliber cruise missiles is quite expensive. This may force Russia to prevent these missiles from possible damage. It is considered normal for Moscow, which can no longer tolerate further losses, to go to various solutions on these issues. However, these solutions may also be insufficient, because, as can be seen, Ukrainian troops have been carrying out operations on many fronts simultaneously, especially in recent days. Thanks to increased operations and successful moves, many regions are taken back and Russia's losses are increased. In the future, the importance of each move will become more critical. In this case, if the Ukrainian troops can continue their effective and accurate moves, they will show their struggle until they do not leave a single Russian soldier on their territory. In time, we will see how the course of the war will be determined, together with the strategic decisions taken by the countries. In order for Ukraine to be successful in the war and to defend its lands more easily, countries should continue to increase their support. On the other hand, although Russia is seen as a larger and more resourceful country, its power is gradually decreasing due to the losses it has suffered for months with this war. Ukraine, on the other hand, is aware of the situation of the declining Russian troops and is doing everything to increase its attacks. Just in these critical days, all kinds of support from countries will be very useful in favor of Ukraine. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.